Thank you, James. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Montreal for the St. Louis Blues and the Montreal Canadiens. In a battle between East and West, and a game that features the NHL's leading goal scorer in Alexander Steen, who's got 12 already on the year in 12 games, and Ray, his career high for goals is 24 in a season.
Now, what a brilliant start to the season for Steen. He's got an excellent wrist shot. Ken Hitchcock was telling us this morning that one of the players that they use as a model for their players in the way that he stops on the puck, the way that he forechecks, the way that he stays involved in the game. They use him in every spot. And for an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, a career best start is coming at the right time.
Sounds like a guy that used to play in Winnipeg.
Pops was a pretty good player. His dad, Thomas Steen, was just a phenomenal player.
St. Louis has won its last 3 visits to Montreal. And of course, this is Yaroslav Halak versus Carey Price as Thomas Plekanec goes in for it. Mikhail Bournival playing on this line with Plekanec and Gionta. Dave Bouwmeester quickly ahead. And Chris Stewart busting in for St. Louis. He and Josh Gorges collided behind the goal. And the puck loose in the corner to Steen. Sends it back to Backes. For Kevin Shattenkirk, a long shot hit a leg and went wide. That knocked down Stewart. Bournival can't clear it up. Backes plays it right back in. St. Louis wants to get the puck in deep and work you over. That's the Blues' game plan. And that's not exactly a trade secret.
When you look at the Blues, the way they're built, the way this team is put together, it's a team that should be effective on the forecheck, although Ken Hitchcock says they've been too much one and done so far on the season. They want to create their offense by working that team down low, by tiring a team out and staying on the puck.
Here's Galchenyuk along with Gallagher and Pacioretty, the forward line for Montreal. Galchenyuk did play a handful of games at center at the end of last season, taking the place tonight of David Desharnais, who's a healthy scratch after enduring a miserable start to the season. Andrei Markov goes back, being watched by Tarasenko, centers for Schwartz with a quick shot, saved by Price, the rebound, and Berglund turned away by Carey Price as well. Now another chance for Tarasenko on the feed from Schwartz, and Carey Price comes up with a hat trick of good save.
Another excellent start for Carey Price in the Habs net. Tarasenko and Schwartz have played together quite a bit on the season for the Blues. Hitchcock was telling us this morning that Schwartz reminds him a lot of the way Brendan Gallagher plays the game. Smaller in stature, stays on the puck, excellent passer and a quick shot. Schwartz and Tarasenko create some real good chances on Carey Price early.
Now Sobotka, the NHL face-off leader, wins that draw. And Derek Roy plays that to the front of the goal. Markov stepped in front of that. PK Subban, -3. And a loss to Colorado on Saturday. Slides it ahead to Lars Eller. Blocked by Jordan Leopold. The battle ensues behind the St. Louis goal. Yaroslav Halak had a 19-save shutout, his first game back in Montreal after being traded. That was a night in which Carey Price received the Molson Cup Award for the Player of the Month, and guess what just happened before this game? Price was named the Player of the Month for October.
Gordon, we talked about Galchenyuk and his adjustments, playing the middle as opposed to on the wing. Here he's a step slow, getting to Tarasenko in the middle of the ice, and it's not much. It doesn't have to be 5 feet or 8 feet. It can be a stick length away from where you need to be, and Galchenyuk needs to be underneath Tarasenko, keep him between the goal and where the puck is coming from. He gets a little bit on the wrong side, and it's an excellent scoring chance.
Lost that face-off to Sobotka. Another challenge for young centers in the NHL is winning draws.
The leaders always seem to be veterans, and you know the Blues have these giant centermen in Backes and Berglund, and the third one, Sobotka, is just an absolute buzzsaw. And you mentioned the league leader in faceoffs. It's no easy task to play your first game of the year in the middle of the ice against this group.
TJ Oshie tried to throw that ahead. Douglas Murray had that skip over his stick, and his center ice Pacioretty tied up with Oshie. Now Douglas Murray gets bottled up by Backes, who knocks him down. Backes centers. Steen scores! Alexander Steen, his 13th of the year, and just like that, the Blues have a 1-0 lead.
Douglas Murray just skated back and patted Carey Price on the pads, acknowledging his bad on this play. I mean, there's really nothing going on here. Murray doesn't read the play at all, and when he gets back, he's got plenty of time, but he doesn't notice where Backes is coming from. He doesn't think, it appears as though Backes is going to come behind the net, and when he does, look at Murray, he loses the puck here, he wants to reverse it. Now he just kicks it right back onto the stick of Backes, and Backes to Alexander Steen, and Steen's 13th of the year gives the Blues a nice 1-0 lead.
And of course, the cautionary tale is it's early for Alexander Steen. He's the guy that keeps saying it, and everyone else is saying we're a month in. He's more than halfway to his career high for goals. Got to cross the line, but the play's offside.
21 of the 44 St. Louis goals have been scored by Steen, Backes, and TJ Oshie. Here we get another look at it. Murray's got all kinds of time to do anything with the puck except what he does. He hesitates, he loses the puck off his stick, and Alex Steen gets to walk into this. That's a gift that Carey Price is not going to be able to stop.
And the 6th of his 13th goal rate that has put the Blues ahead in the game. He's not getting empty netters or garbage time goals. He's scoring important goals for the Blues. And you got an example, too, of the big body play by St. Louis there. Douglas Murray's not an easy guy to knock down, but Backes is as big as he is.
So Backes separates him from the puck, and he knows because he hears Steen coming down the slot. Steen's giving him a yell. We can hear it up here. The pass is on the tape, and Steen, who averages just over 3 shots a game, is right in the middle of the ice to finish it off.
Yeah, that's 13 goals on 39 shots on the season, when 1 in 3 is going in.
A lot is going right for him. I mean, what an incredible start to the season, and whether it's early or not, he's got 13 in his back pocket already.
Now Ryan White knocks it off the end boards, and there's a chance for Martin St. Pierre, number 57, playing in the NHL for the first time in nearly 1,400 days. The last game played in Atlanta on January 12, 2010. His Ottawa Senators lost 6-1 that night. He's been in the American League in Europe ever since. St. Pierre called up from Hamilton of the American League. Gets back into the NHL. Tonight's game plan is brought to you by Tim Hortons, official coffee of the NHL.
I just talked about how TJ Oshie, Steen, and Backes have provided most of the offense for the Blues. Well, Chris Stewart's been moved onto that line tonight. He's one of the guys they want to stay on the forecheck. Ken Hitchcock says too many chances just off the rush, not where they've grinded and pushed people off the puck. And for the Canadians, not the biggest of teams. Some of their most productive offensive forwards, like Thomas Plekanec, are on the smaller side. They have to be quick. They can't try and outman and be more physical than the Blues. They have to be quicker than them if they're going to produce anything tonight. They've had trouble against bigger teams even this year. San Jose came in here and shut them down with a lead. The Canadians just generated nothing when they needed to get back into the game.
And everywhere you look in the West, Ray, you see these big centers. As Bergman now wins the battle for the puck. Centered, and Schwartz skated by the puck. Back now, Shattenkirk with a drive that goes off a leg. And here's Bergman back on it. Crisscrossing with Jaden Schwartz. Josh George is trying to fight them off, but Bergman is a big man as well. Taps it back down to Schwartz. Now the puck goes in the corner. Tarasenko on Rafael Diaz. And George just slides out ahead to Louis LeBlanc. He got tied up by Bergman. Lost that battle for the puck. Bergman just swats that down in the midair from Diaz. And now the Blues have the change in the offensive zone. Shattenkirk steps up to buy some time. Fresh legs on the ice now for the Blues. Derek Roy fires that shot blocked by LeBlanc. And now Rennie Bourque turns it over to Roy, but as he brings it back in, the play is offside at the Montreal line. James Duthie with an update for us. The 1-0 St. Louis leading here. Maybe the Blues 4-0-1 the last 5 in Montreal. A far cry for the Blues' first 33 years in the league is that centering pass misses St. Pierre. Or Pacioretty rather, and Barkov back for it. Their first 33 years in the league, the Blues won here 9 times. And took some horrendous beatings from the Montreal Glory teams.
A lot of teams took it in the chin. Coming in here to play the Canadians.
Now Pacioretty reaching for it. And racing back is Alex Pietrangelo for it. And Pietrangelo quietly having a great start to the season as well, with goals in 4 consecutive games for St. Louis.
A front runner to be on Team Canada at the Olympics. Pietrangelo has really continued to blossom as a player. plays in every situation for the Blues. He's played 160 games in a row with over 20 minutes. Effortless skater on the ice, and maybe as good a compliment as he could get. About a year ago, Mike Babcock, the Detroit coach, said he's a Nick Lidstrom-like thinker. If you can think the game like Nick Lidstrom, you're probably in pretty good shape.
If you can do anything like Lidstrom, you're probably in pretty good shape.
And look how smoothly he just turned there and made a simple little breakout pass, and the Blues easily out of their zone.
Now rink wide to Jay Bouwmeester's defense partner, tries to center it. And this Blues defense is under contract. Bouwmeester, Pietrangelo, and Shattenkirk all signed extensions after last year. TJ Oshie tries to leap by Georges, who got a piece of him. And now Plekanec's around for Bouillon. Max Lapierre tried to knock it down. And the puck loose at the line, finally poked away from Lapierre. Bouillon peels back. Being harassed there by Adam Crackman. Now the puck turned over again to the Blues and finally knocked out by Bouillon. Shots are 4-0 St. Louis, 6.5 minutes into the opening period. Roman Polak goes back, gets a puck from George Parros. Saint-Pierre back on it. Fourth line for Montreal, all -3 in that loss to Colorado on Saturday. Douglas Murray goes back, and he and Ryan Reeves collide hard. Parros at center ice looking for a change. Backhands that back down to the St. Louis zone. Here come the Blues. Barrett Jackman, hard pass ahead. Tipped in by Schwartz. Now the Blues will complete a change as Markov goes back. And Tarasenko went across the line, tied up there by Galchenyuk. Schwartz looking for it, and now PK Subban gathers it up. To Gallagher for Pacioretty. And Pacioretty chips that in, runs into Bouwmeester. They collide hard behind the St. Louis goal as Pacioretty's slow to get to his feet. Now Berglund. 50 back pass for Schwartz. And Jaden Schwartz drops it off to Bouwmeester. And he comes and shoots. He fired it wide. Here's Schwartz on it. Tarasenko had his stick knocked out of his hands, and a penalty coming to Montreal. It'll be Markov who goes off for the slash, and the St. Louis Blues will go to the power play. The league leader, Alexander Steen, has his 13th of the year. The NHL on TSN. Back to Montreal in a moment.
One rated power play in the league will go to work as Andrei Markov gets called for slashing here as he knocks the stick out of Tarasenko's hands. So the Blues, who love to shoot the puck on the power play, they don't want to hang on to it very often. They have a general rule of about 5 seconds they want the puck going towards the net. There's not much detail that escapes Ken Hitchcock. I don't know how often you have a stopwatch, but we'll see how quickly they get rid of it here.
Backus wins the draw. Here's Oshie walking in. This has been almost 6 seconds now. They're late. Alexander Steen winds his way in. Blues the #1 team on the power play in percentage terms in the NHL so far this season. Here's Bouwmeester running it across the top. Back for Oshie. Got that slap pass in front, knocked away from Steen. And Diaz flips it out.
Nice read by Giannis as he got into the middle to deflect away the shot pass.
Montreal still without a shot on goal in the game, 8.5 minutes in.
There's a lot of talk about Price versus Halak, but Halak hasn't broken a sweat here tonight.
Now Stewart drops it back, and Shattenkirk drives Price the save through traffic. Bouwmeester tries to tap it back in front, and away come the Canadians, shorthanded 2-on-1. Pacioretty and Eller. Max Pacioretty flips it back in front, drove by Halak. Still loose at the side of the goal, and Pacioretty had that knocked away from him.
At the end of the shift, Pacioretty looked like he was a little out of gas, and when he didn't get the puck to Eller immediately, it became basically a one-on-one. Pacioretty had to shoot it.
Jordan Leopold now drops it down to Sobotka. Leopold to Vladimir Sobotka. He fires that shot blocked by Murray. That stung Douglas Murray. Eric Roy slides it back to Leopold. Back to Roy. Stewart standing in front. Shattenkirk fires. That goes off the end board. Still loose in front. Stewart battling for it. And Carey Price has it for Montreal. 31 seconds to go in the St. Louis power play.
Excellent movement, and you can see how the Blues like to shoot the puck from the point. They've got Chris Stewart standing right in front of Carey Price. The first shot will be blocked by Douglas Murray as he comes out and gets the block on Sobotka's shot. When this shot misses the net here from the point, Shattenkirk's shot will hit the end boards, and Carey Price stays on it and is able to catch it as the puck deflected off of Douglas Murray again. And Stewart standing right on the doorstep.
Now Berglund against Plekanec for the face-off. And the draw won by Plekanec at the line, though. Bouwmeester kept it alive for a moment. Now Plekanec is away. He's got Gionta with him. And Plekanec had the puck at his feet. Now flips that wide of the goal. Halak knocked it down. And Plekanec a long shot. Halak the save, juggles the rebound, and has to hang on. Montreal with 3 short-handed goals already this season after not scoring a short-handed goal in last year's abbreviated season.
This penalty kill has been good for the Canadians. A couple of blocks here by Douglas Murray. You see the Pacioretty chance earlier in there. Gionta and Plekanec spring out of the zone. You can grab a little bit of life from a penalty kill here, and the Canadians, who were pretty dormant in the first 7 minutes of this first period, have looked a little more alive here, maybe because they had to be against an excellent Blues power play.
Now a centering pass for Stewart, just missed him in the final seconds of this power play. And Plekanec to the line, but not out. Held by Pietrangelo. In for Alexander Steen. Winds his way in, can't get a good shot away. And now Markov is back on for Montreal. Here's Pietrangelo with it. Long lead feed for Bakken. Drops it off to Stewart. His long shot tipped by Steen just wide. And Gallagher collides with Shattenkirk, and now the puck moved ahead to Pacioretty. St. Louis on a change, in comes back to Pacioretty. And Pietrangelo stays with him. Now drop back, PK Subban backhands it back in front. Tipped away by Tarasenko, and the Blues are away. Patrick Berglund across the line, crisscrossing with Tarasenko. Got for the trailer, Shattenkirk a long shot, and Carey Price has that. 9.5 to go in the opening period. You're watching the NHL on TSN from Montreal. Jaroslav Halak back in Montreal. Here's John Liu with more.
Well, thank you, Gordon. After Jaroslav Halak suffered a couple of injury-plagued seasons, part of his turnaround this season at 7-2-1 can be traced back to a shouting match he famously had with Ken Hitchcock in the middle of a playoff series in mid-May. This morning when asked about it, Hitchcock said that he and Halak laughed it off, and they sort of chalked it up as two guys sharing their opinions. But the fact is that after that, Halak took his conditioning seriously as part of trying to bounce back from injuries a little bit more effectively. And Hitchcock says that Halak had a conditioning level that was only average before, but now he's raised it to an elite level where he's a cut above most. And as a result, you see his play benefiting from his improved conditioning and his energy and recovery levels. Guys?
Thank you, John. Tarasenko with a shot that goes wide. It was a frustrating year for Halak last season. 2 separate groin injuries. He played only 16 games. Now, the shot there by Jackman goes wide. Shots are 6-2 in favor of St. Louis. Montreal's 2 shots on goal have come while shorthanded. Lars Eller works his way in. Now they're on Shattenkirk, and now Schwartz with it for the Blues. In the feet of Subban, and Tarasenko comes in to help out. Lars Eller to an open wing to LeBlanc, being hooked there by Schwartz. That went undetected. Now Montreal changing as Markov flips it in, playing in his 700th game tonight. Joined Saku Koivu as the only European-born players who plays 700 for Montreal as that puck goes into the Canadiens bench. And speaking of European-born Montreal Canadiens, Jaroslav Halak did love to play here and still does. Of course, had that 19-save shutout the last time he was here. Ranks first all-time in winning percentage in this building, and a save percentage at .925.
So Halak goes to St. Louis. Lars Eller comes to the Montreal Canadiens. And further to John Liu's story about Halak and his conditioning or lack thereof, he lost 14 pounds over the summer. Not a big guy to begin with. He had cut his body fat. He became much stronger, much more flexible. And early season to a rather easy schedule work-wise, Halak has been exceptional. The Blues have played the fewest games of anybody in the NHL.
Look at an NFL team, they're playing with a week off.
The players hate that. That's way too much practice, way too many meetings. They want to play. They want to get into a rhythm.
And Hitchcock's meetings are long.
Yeah, I imagine they are, right? There's no detail that will go uncovered in a Hitchcock meeting.
Now Sobotka taken down, and another penalty coming to Montreal. It'll be Buchanan who goes off for the trip, and the Blues got a second power play here in the first period, rather.
Gordon, when you don't have the puck, as Montreal hasn't, eventually you chase, eventually you get yourself into a deficit position, and the second penalty of the first 12 minutes is Thomas Buchanan's penalty here. It's on the sideboards. He's just trying to get a stick on the puck, but it gets into the feet of Sobotka, and Buchanan goes to the box, and St. Louis goes back to the power play.
Montreal has had its best chances so far. Looking on the bright side.
That's you, Mr. Sunshine.
That's right. Always looking on the bright side, I am. Got this Murray battling along the wall. Oshie in there as well. The puck's moved about 6 inches in 20 seconds. They're way over the 5-second rule here, Ray.
Yeah, this is NHL hockey at its finest right here.
Douglas Murray squeezing the life out of that puck. And now he and Oshie are back at it, picked up by Steve. Trying to center it. Markov got in the way. And Markov blocked that pass to prevent the chance. The NHL on TSN is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Mentioned Andre Markov playing in his 700th game. He and Saku Koivu, the only Montreal players ever to play 700 games for the Canadiens and not win at least one Stanley Cup for the franchise. Bouwmeester. Back for Pietrangelo. Sets it up for Oshie. Backus is standing in front, screening Price. And Bouwmeester shoots. That's tipped wide by Backus. Now Bouwmeester down low on it, trying to feed that to the corner. Here's Backus back with it. Banks it back for Pietrangelo. Holds the line neatly across for Oshie. TJ Oshie drops it down for Steen. Alexander Steen drops it back. Pietrangelo would drive, and Price got a piece of that through the screen of Backus. Backus giving Price all kinds of troubles. Pietrangelo's pass misfired and went wide. Here's Oshie back with it. Back to Bouwmeester. Slides it back across to Oshie. And here's Steen back on it. Back in front. Pietrangelo, a shot, and Price makes the stop. Once again, Backus standing there. And this time gets knocked down by Josh Georges, and Backus didn't like that.
You mentioned Backus in front of Carey Price. He's made the last minute and 30 seconds absolutely miserable for Price as he's trying to look around the Blues captain. Look at this catch at the blue line by Pietrangelo. On the backhand, the poise to go back across the ice to Oshie. And then Pietrangelo's going to get this shot through the Backus screen. Price doesn't even see it. He stays up on his feet to make the stop with the pad. Real good battle by Carey Price as he's trying to find an eye line to keep himself between the shooter and the puck, but he makes an excellent save without having to scramble too much. It's excellent positioning by Price.
Markov fires it down on a face-off win by Eller. Hitchcock's line to us this morning was, we need to play the way we're built.
Simple, straight ahead. He doesn't much like the east to west stuff. He wants that puck going north and south, and he wants people to get on it and to stop on the puck. He feels they haven't done that near enough, even with an 8-2-2 record.
Shattenkirk back with it. Berglund drops it back. And in comes Schwartz with it, lining in, taking a shot away, taken down by Eller. Final seconds now, and Buchanan is back on the ice. Markov with it now. A chance for the Canadians. Rink wide for Pacioretty. That's knocked away from him. And away comes Shattenkirk. Evan Shattenkirk sends it back in front. Berglund got a stick on that. And Price able to hang on. The St. Louis Blues put the pressure on. They have a 1-0 lead, and Carey Price trying to hold the fort as he has so many times so far this year for Montreal. Here, 1-0 St. Louis on Montreal. Shots on goal rate 2 in favor of the Blues as Sobotka steps in against Eller. On a night when David Desharnais a healthy scratch for Montreal, Michel Therrien pointing out that was Lars Eller's situation early last year, scratched twice in the first 10 games of the season.
Entirely likely that Desharnais thinks he's doing the right thing, that he thinks he's playing the game the right way, but the simple fact is he doesn't have the puck and his stick enough to make a difference right now.
Shot by Leopold, glove down by Oshie, centers that, and René Bourque picks it up for Montreal. Rink wide for Saint-Pierre. Drops it off for Bouillon. Francis Bouillon's shot ramps off a stick and out of play.
one of the first times the Canadians had the puck in this first period where they were able to rush the puck with control out of the zone. The key to this whole rush is Bouillon coming late here. He's the fourth man into the rush, and that gives him a little opportunity. You can see how the outman opportunity presents itself. Bourque gets to the front of the net, but Bouillon's too slow delivering the puck to the net. But by getting it with control and getting a defenseman up into the rush, you have the opportunity to create a mismatch somewhere down the line against the Blues team that doesn't give up very much.
Lapierre wins that face-off away from Galchenyuk. Now the long shot handled by Yaroslav Halak.
Ryan Reeves and Douglas Murray having a chat just inside the Canadiens' blue line as Reeves laid a pretty good lick on Murray. Now Reeves' game has changed a little bit this year too. Ken Hitchcock says that he's made a real stride because he doesn't seem to be on a search and destroy mission every shift. He's now actually trying to handle the puck and play the game. He's a big man, he can move well, he's got to finish his check when it's there and finish it with ill intent at times, but he has to be involved in the game. And after that little skirmish, out comes the Canadiens' fourth line, and here goes Reeves and Parros.
And St. Pierre got a late shot away. It's no goal because there's going to be scoring of a different kind. This is something that Reeves' dad, Willard, never had to do in the CFL. Winds up on top of the end.
Before the game, we saw George Parros setting up the soccer court with a little roll of tape. He's kind of like the soccer commissioner for their pregame warm-up. Here, he comes to defend the Montreal Canadiens after they didn't like this late hit Reeves on Murray. So they put out the fourth line, and you see Parros and Reeves, they have a quick word at the face-off, and it's going to take about 3 seconds for the puck to hit the ice, and they back away and off they go.
Montreal among the league leaders in fighting penalties this year, but they got a head start in everybody with 5 in their first game against Toronto. Including, of course, the infamous Parros-Orr confrontation, which wound up with Parros landing face first on the ice. So offsetting fighting majors. Teams remain at 5 aside. Loka thrown down. Montreal back the other way. Gallagher looking in for Pacioretty, who's in behind the Blues defense. Pacioretty around for Gallagher, hopped away from him. And back out to center ice.
5 minutes into fighting. 14 minutes and 54 seconds.
Now George is at the hustle back with Alexander Steen bearing in on him. Steen claims not to be superstitious, but you got to think certain ties are getting worn a lot, pairs of socks. And with a stoppage in play, we remind you that the Grey Cup playoffs begin this Sunday, and TSN's your home for all the action. The Eastern and Western semifinal doubleheader starts with the Alouettes and the Ticats, followed by BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. In 2010, those two teams went to overtime in the Western semifinal in Regina. Toronto and Calgary sitting out this weekend waiting for the winners. Now Stewart swats that down to the Montreal zone. Price out to play it. Bourneval got stopped there by Shattenkirk, and now Stewart wins the battle with Josh Georges. This is the kind of game that Hitchcock talked about from St. Louis. Get it in deep and work it. It works against almost everyone well for St. Louis. Shattenkirk hustles back. There's one team, though, that is the Blues' kryptonite. As Buchanan knocks it down. Walks in, Thomas Buchanan sends it back door. The pass hopped away from St. Pierre. Now Subban to Buchanan, sends it right on goal, and Halak knocks that away. And finally swatted out by Stewart, that team that is the Blues' kryptonite, the LA Kings.
2 years ago, swept out of the playoffs. Last year, a 2-0 lead. Lose 4 straight. They play a lot the same way. but the Blues seem to be making strides headed towards the right direction. That they're a team that seems to have a nice future in front of them. They're not an old team. They're not a team that relies so much on their goaltending that they have all these other weaknesses. They're a real solid team that looks to me like a team that can play for a long time in a playoff round.
3 years ago, fair to say, Ray, St. Louis was a rebuilding team.
Well, absolutely. They were waiting for a lot of these young guys, Berglund and Oshie, and they made the deal for Stewart.
Subban, a long shot. Halak the save. Rebound loose in front. Heller can't get to it. And now Schwartz out ahead to Tarasenko. Swatted away by PK Subban and then goes low on Tarasenko and takes him off the puck. René Bourque taps it in behind Jordan Leopold, who hustles back for it. And the Blues re-engage as Tarasenko works in along with Schwartz. A long shot. And that's off the mesh and out of play.
Most dangerous chance for the Canadiens comes off a face-off win by Lars Eller. To the left of Jaro Halak. He beats Berglund on the draw and a pretty quick release by Subban, not the big slapper, and Halak has trouble with it. Look at Eller gets there quickly off the draw. The Canadiens have 2 chances at the loose puck before Halak can scramble to safety.
Montreal, by the way, 1-6 this year when the opposition scores first.
I gotta say, since they took the 2 penalty scores, they've been a much better team. They killed the 4 minutes off in those minors about 2 minutes apart. Since then, the period has been relatively even. It's been a nice rebound to the second half of the period after they were steamrolled early.
Another face-off win by Saboka, who's winning draws at about a 68% clip to start the season. Oshie centers it. There's Leopold to drive. Point saved by Price through the traffic. Centered again for Saboka. The NHL kept time possession as a stat. It was the all St. Louis here in the first period. Now Pacioretty in desperation fires that down to the blue zone, and Leopold took his time, icing waved off. Going to drop the anchor there, the linesman wasn't buying. Now Montreal changing, and Diaz taps it back for Georgian. Lead pass for Gallagher off his stick, and Pietrangelo knocks it away from Pacioretty and plays it back out. Now Montreal re-engages. Pacioretty in across the line, drops it back for the trailer. Diaz in shoots, he hammered it just wide. Now George is back with it, down low to Gallagher. For Galchenyuk, back has gotten away and looks ahead to Stewart. Now a race for it. Price is going to come out and help out, and look out, puts that into the crowd. That's a penalty to Montreal. As Carey Price tried to help his defense, but wound up taking a penalty for delay of game.
Price makes the read that Stewart's going to beat Diaz to the puck, and so he wants to come out to get this puck off the glass. And the read is correct. The execution just isn't very good. Watch Stewart. He's going to go right by Diaz here. So Price comes out and he lofts this up into about the 15th row, and St. Louis gets their 3rd power play in the first period.
Indication of how quick Chris Stewart is for a big man.
They just would love a little more consistency. When he's got it, when he plays well, he's such a handful, but he can be a little quiet. And when he gets quiet, you don't notice him quite as much.
Alexander Steen harassed there by Gianta at the line. Bouwmeester keeps it alive for the moment. Now back is put down the stick of Markov, who plays it out. 80 seconds to go in the opening period. Right. That goal allowed by Montreal is the 6th first period goal he's allowed so far this year. Steen across to Bouwmeester. That long shot knocked down in front by Markov. Here's Oshie back on it for Bouwmeester. Across to Alex Pietrangelo.
Here
comes Alexander Steen. Slides it back to Bouwmeester with time. Across he goes to Pietrangelo. Taps it down to Backus. That pass goes all the way back to Bouwmeester. And now Pietrangelo back down to Backus and rolled off his stick again. Here's Bouwmeester with it. Across to Steen. Now Bouwmeester with a bouncing puck. Steps around White. Drops it down to Oshie. Throws it back in front. Price is down. Bouwmeester in there looking for it. And finally, Carey Price is able to corral the bouncing puck. 27 seconds to go here. Back to James Duffy for an update. Alexander Steen was a first-round pick of Toronto back in 2002. Maybe took him a while to get his feet under him, but now he's become a cornerstone player for St. Louis. Under 20 seconds to go in the first period. That shot puts wide by Schwartz, and now Schwartz back on it. And fired down the ice by Shattenkirk as Diaz sent it down. Final seconds now, the period.
Excellent penalty killing period for the Canadians. They've given themselves a chance to win by keeping this at 1-0 after a rather pedestrian start to the period.
Alexander Steen with his lead, leading 13th on the year. St. Louis leads 1-0 after one period of play as we send you to our first intermission with James Duthie and the panel. Yes, it is Rue Stanley next to the arena here in Montreal. The Canadians trailing 1-0 against the St. Louis Blues after one period of play. Gord Miller back here with Ray Ferraro. Western Conference teams have a wide edge on the East so far this year, about 17 games above 500, and invariably the difference appears to be size and power for the Western clubs, right?
The way teams have been constructed has really started to become the differentiating factor, because in a cap world you would think everybody would be about the same, but the Blues are a big team, as we've talked about, and the way they played gave the Canadians fits in that first period. Their defense down on the wall to pinch. Jackman and Leopold there. Their forwards big and strong, at least matching the size of the Canadians' defensemen. They get in quickly. This is the first shift of the game that they create a chance. Diaz doesn't have much room. Look at the pursuit of the puck by Backlund, and a scoring chance right in front of the net, and of course the goal. Backes takes advantage of the Murray turnover, and Alexander Steen's 13th goal of the year was the only goal of the first period.
19 seconds of power play time carrying over for St. Louis to start this period, but Brendan Gallagher, who took the face-off to start the period, had a dash there for Montreal. By the way, Blues won 68% of the draws in the opening period. Alex Galchenyuk at center was 0 for 4 in the face-off circle. It's going to be a work in progress for the Canadians as they battle through some injuries and a center ice problem that has dogged them for the last several years.
Both Brandon Prust and Daniel Briere started to skate. Briere out with a concussion that is clear to start amping up his work.
Now a steal by Pacioretty. And Max Pacioretty sends it back in front to Gallagher with a chance, and Yaroslav Halak makes the save on him.
Good tenacity by Pacioretty to stay on the loose puck. He uses his size to clear some room to gather the puck, and then Gallagher, who has become the Canadians' go-to scorer, is right on the spot for the one-timer. Intercepted on the pass, but look how Pacioretty stays on the puck. He pushes Pietrangelo off it, and then finds Gallagher coming in late. A quiet first period for Brendan Gallagher. A scoring chance 49 seconds into period 2, created by Max Pacioretty.
Brendan Gallagher, in his second year in the league, Ray, has only gone 5 games without a goal once so far in his career.
You just even watch the goals he scored. So many of them he ends up over top of the goalie, and with 3 guys jumping on his back, it's clear he'll do just about anything to score. And the simple fact is he's got an excellent release as well. Being willing to get in there is one thing. To have the finish is another, and Gallagher's got them both.
Now Gianta for PK Subban leading the rush for Montreal, and Subban backhands that back in deep. Of course, a lot of eyes on Subban. You've got Ken Hitchcock here tonight. As that long shot by Subban goes just wide. Doug Armstrong, the Blues general manager, part of the Team Canada management staff. And here's Subban back with it. Fires that bullet, knocked down in front. Halak never saw it. And Jackman outlets for Tarasenko. Vladimir Tarasenko plays it back in. Blues are changing. That gives Subban some time. Crowd urges Subban on as he fires it in, but Montreal needs a change. Roman Polak goes back. And Lars Eller steps into him. Eller's centering pass knocked down by Leopold. And now kept alive by Bouillon. Lars Eller tries to wrap it around, rolls off his stick. And the Blues are away. Roy ahead to Polak. And Carey Price out to play it. Montreal weathers 3 St. Louis power plays in the first period and a bit. Trail just 1-0. Polak across to Leopold. Back through the middle of TJ Oshie with that hard pass for Saboka. And Vladimir Saboka back in front, knocked away by Bouillon. And the race and loose puck. Polak couldn't keep it alive. Rennie Bourque drops it back for Eller. Oshie takes it away from him, and Saboka back with it. Oshie runs hard at Douglas Murray. And quickly makes his way off the ice. Bouillon for Bourque. Back to the St. Louis zone. Here's Bouwmeester with playing in his 648 consecutive game of Jay Bouwmeester, the longest active streak in the NHL. Hasn't missed a game in nearly a decade.
That just doesn't seem awesome. Henrik Sedin right behind him on the list.
Now the puck at the line for Shattenkirk with a drive, and Price steers that away. Max Lapierre. Crisscrossing with Reeves. And Markov in the middle of that battle. Parros on it. Trying to bat it out and can't. Crackle with it. Out of the fourth lines now. And Shattenkirk sends it back in front for Lapierre. Spins and shoots. And that's off a skate. Up and on a play.
Gord, you mentioned earlier that PK Subban has lots of people to impress in the building. Doug Armstrong and Ken Hitchcock from Team Canada. Maybe his toughest critic to make appreciated is his head coach Michel Therrien, as we see where he is ranked in the National Hockey League among defensemen offensively. Michel Therrien has not used PK Subban much of late when they have a lead or when they're killing penalties. And it became a topic of conversation, as it will here in Montreal, when Therrien, without name, but pretty clearly singled out Subban after the mistakes that he made in Colorado in that 4-1 loss. He compared Subban to a thoroughbred, and that you have to manage the thoroughbred for the long view, not the short view. But it has done nothing to calm the masses here in Montreal.
In terms of time-killing penalties this year, Ray, he's 7th among Montreal's defensemen.
That is hard to believe that he wouldn't be on the ice at all.
In comes through with a chance. Oh, what a glove save by Price. Chris Stewart busting in, and Carey Price is keeping Montreal in this game.
Excellent release by Stewart. He gets into the middle of the ice on the 3-on-2. He fills the lane nicely to take the pass from Steen, and he gets in between the Diaz and Plakanitz's back check. Look how quickly he releases this one dust of the puck, and then he goes under the bar, and Price makes a sensational glove stop.
One what?
Dust of the puck. Clean it up. Make it look nice. If you dust it too nice, it takes too long.
Right.
That one just one quick dust, and
Why not just shoot it dirty?
he didn't have it on the team. What a stop by Price.
Berglund drops that down for Tarasenko. Back in front for Berglund with a drive blocked by Murray. Now here's Polak with it. Sheldon Polak, one of 9 Blues players in the lineup tonight, drafted by the team. And there's Leopold with a puck over his stick. And a chance now for Montreal. Gallagher with Pacioretty. Next Pacioretty in, shoots him in short side. And Berglund flips it back down to the Montreal zone, gets it right back and winds his way in. Patrick Berglund, another guy trying to find some consistency. He's gone 10 games now without a goal. The 9th time in his career he's had a goalless drought of 10 games or more.
There always seems to be more when I watch Patrick Berglund. I always think that he's ready to break out offensively. Maybe he's just not that. Maybe he's a third-line center with some skill. At his size, he's an effective guy anyway, but there always seems like there's more offense.
Now Subban, a long drive on the rush by Pacioretty. And Halak hangs on to that as Gallagher was right in the face of the St. Louis goaltender. Here's James Duthie with another update for us.
Capitals missed Ovechkin for a couple of games and scored 10 goals. If they can figure out a way to keep the puck out of their net, they could be a dangerous team because clearly they can score.
Isn't that the title of the Capitals book? Like, doesn't that go back to the
Yes.
70s? was the problem with the good Caps teams in the 80s too, right?
Except when Rod Langway was there. He blocked everything. But you're right, I mean, they just seem to have so much depth offensively, they can hurt you many ways.
Here comes Markov with a chance. Lockdown, rebound, Bork scores! Rene Bork ties the game at 1. And Halak still down on the ice.
He got run into on the net drive by Andrei Markov. Markov sees a little bit of room as he gets down below the goal line. The Blues lose coverage. Look at their coverage here. They're in decent shape, and when the puck goes behind the net, they start to chase. Nobody accounts for Markov. He gets inside of Sabatka and then drives across the front of the net. Nice stop here on the initial save by Halak, but the rebound goes right to Rene Bork, and Bork's 5th of the year, just his 2nd at 5-on-5 is even the score.
And all 5 goals scored here in Montreal.
So look at how the game has changed a little bit. We've talked how the Blues have dominated territorially. The Canadians get 3 penalty kills. They get that wonderful stop from Carey Price. Now they're back in the game at 1-1 here on a nice play by Markov, going to the front of the net, being involved in trying to create something offensively in Bork's rebound.
So the shots are 12-11 St. Louis. And the score tied at 1. Montreal trying to avoid 3 consecutive losses for the first time this season. And Markov bumped there by Reeves. Here's Pacioretty with it. Trying to swat that ahead. Lapierre got bumped there by Galchenyuk. Now a centering pass for Lapierre. Stick lifted by Galchenyuk on the defensive zone play. And Galchenyuk throws it out to the St. Louis zone. Halak way out to play it. Here's Gallagher with a chance. Halak was just getting back to his net and was able to make the emergency save on that.
Not a great clear by Halak. We saw Price shoot one into the crowd in the first period. Halak heels one for a scoring chance against them. Through 27 minutes, it's 1-1. The shots are 12-12. There's really no difference again between the goaltenders. But you can't separate Price and Halak very much. Their numbers are so similar for so much of their career. And since Halak has left Montreal, their numbers are almost identical. His goals against average is a little lower. That's about it.
But you could argue that's a more defensive-oriented team.
Oh, there's lots of ways to look at it. The fact is the numbers aren't much different.
There was a lot of controversy at the time that deal was made. And here's what they've done since that trade. As you mentioned, Ray, there's very little to choose. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of a point in save percentage.
The wins, Price with 25 more wins than Halak. Halak, as you mentioned last year, Gordon just played very sparingly. Price plays more than Halak. If I have to pick between the two of them, I'm going to take Carey Price. But Halak has played better this year and given the Blues the faith that they have a guy that can carry them as a #1 goaltender. But he had to make a change. That was not a very positive year for him last year. Not much went right for Jaro Halak on the ice and in the locker room in St. Louis.
Now Stewart to Steen. That shot was blocked. PK Subban is down after blocking it and clutching his left arm. Racing now to the Montreal bench as the Blues come in. Alexander Steen walking in, plays it across. The return pass for Steen, shoots it. Price got away with that. Somehow Carey Price kept that out. Now a backhand shot blocked in front. Price has no stick. Trying to retrieve it. There's a second stick down there. It's like a yard sale in front of Carey Price, but PK Subban injured for the Canadiens.
He's gone to the locker room with the Canadiens training staff.
And the play offside at the St. Louis line. 1-1 the score, but deep concern in Montreal about the fate of PK Subban. We're back after this.
PK Subban back on the Canadiens bench after a shot block on Alex Steen. He gets down in a little bit of an awkward position. This hits him in the left wrist. Subban headed straight to the locker room. Here's the Price save. I thought Stewart was going to shoot this puck, but he went back across the green to Steen. And Price dives back into position to make the stop.
So Montreal breathes a sigh of relief with Subban back on the bench. You can talk about his Olympic possibilities all you want. He's an essential player for the Montreal Canadiens.
Their leading scorer, he picks up an assist on the Bourque goal here moments ago. Their power play, which is one of the league's best, ranked at number 3. A lot goes through Subban's hands. There's so much that he does for this team, and there seems to be this great divide. He's either the Norris Trophy winner or the worst player in the league, which of course he's not. Yet there seems to be this great divide on PK Subban, and he's one of the elite defensemen in the league. He just creates things that other people can't.
Now Bourque working his way in, trying to center that bouncing puck, swatted wide by Eller, and Bourque back on it. Bourque with Eller and LeBlanc, the forward line for Montreal. Here's Louis LeBlanc with it. Eller taps it back on the point, but Bouillon wasn't there. And the puck back down to the Montreal zone. By the way, on the icing moments ago, it was Montreal that called timeout. So the Canadiens now without one. And LeBlanc spinning in front of Leopold. Being watched there by Derek Roy. Fires it back down to the St. Louis zone as Montreal changes. Roy in digging for it. Lost the puck, and Gallagher with a chance, and the toe save made by Halak. Markov with a chance. That shot was blocked by Polak, and that stung him. And Kirkland flips it ahead for St. Louis to Derek Roy. Sends it back in front by everyone, and back to Pietrangelo. Here's Roy with it. So Pietrangelo with a shot that broke his stick. Or broke a stick, rather. And Pietrangelo back with it in the corner. Markov didn't have a stick, so Gallagher gives him one. And now the puck intercepted by Galchenyuk. Pietrangelo back. It's a 2-on-1 for Montreal if it hurries, but Pietrangelo batted that pass out of midair and sends it down the ice. Galchenyuk filling behind the play, was slow getting up. And now has it for Montreal. Poke checked away from him by Bouwmeester. Back goes Diaz for Montreal. To Subban. Lead for Gallagher, trying to chip that ahead for Pacioretty. And the puck goes over the glass.
Earlier in the period, we saw Gallagher come in late on the turnover, take the pass from Pacioretty for a quick one-timer that Halak stopped. Look how he finds the soft spot. There's not much time there to release that puck. He finds room, quickly gets to the spot and releases this. A nice toe stop by Jaro Halak.
Gallagher has goals in back-to-back games for Montreal coming in. Tied for the team lead last year with 15. Bad for a 21-year-old rookie. Now Reeves down to Cracknell. Fights off Bouillon. Lapierre comes in to help out as well. And Lapierre feeds it back to Jackson. There is Jackson. Back to Lapierre with traffic. Shoots. And Carey Price knocks that over the blocker. Douglas Murray now on his backhand. A tough play for him. And the battle continues down there as Cracknell's in. And Murray trying to boot that puck ahead. Can't get it out. And Jackman plays it right back in. Reeves on it. Down to Cracknell. White falls in front of him. At the line of Shattenkirk. Winds and fires. That tipped wide. Diving for the puck was Cracknell. He tipped it just wide. Now Shattenkirk back in front again. That shot was blocked. And Shattenkirk back with it. And again, the Blues just dominating the offensive zone. Finally, St. Pierre picks it up. They're going to throw that to Perreault.
That was the Blues' fourth line. It was in the zone for about 45 seconds. And while they don't score, it's like the boxers. Slowly you soften up the underbelly of the team by having the puck in their zone for so long. That's one of St. Louis's ways to create offense. It's an excellent shift for that line.
Stewart plays that down for Steen, knocked down by Plekanec. And Stewart picks up the puck behind the Montreal goal, plays it off the side of the goal frame. Now back to Leopold with a shot. That was partly blocked by Diaz. Pacioretty can't knock it down. Here's Backes with it. Across to Steen. Alexander Steen shoots, partly blocked by Diaz. And Pacioretty with it. Look ahead for Gionta. That pass missed. And now icing called against the Canadiens. Can't miss episodes of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Goldbergs, Trophy Wife, and Person of Interest. All new Tuesday starting 8 Eastern, 7 Central. on CTV. Crisp in the air here in Montreal in early November. In a city that just feels like hockey.
Last week it was a lot warmer here.
Yes.
It's be an interesting time in the game here. The last 3 or 4 minutes, the Blues have started to exert themselves a little bit more, start to dominate the possession game a little bit more.
Another face-off there. Petrangelo's shot was blocked, and it goes up and out. 1-1 the score. You're watching the NHL on TSN live from Montreal.
There's a lot of hot air on that list, Gord.
A lot of your favorite people on that list. Well, Scotty with twice as many wins as any other
Yeah, he had good players, though. Twice as good as everybody else.
And Hitchcock's next win will give him sole possession of 10th place on the all-time win list with Scotty Bowman at number 1. Bowman coached both these franchises, St. Louis and Montreal. Hitchcock in his 17th year behind a National Hockey League bench, his 3rd with St. Louis. Guy who earned his coaching stripes right from Bantam through Midget, the Sherwood Park system of chain gang group. Kamloops in the Western Hockey League, the American League.
Said he had to change a lot when he got hired by the Blues this time. Had to learn a little bit about communicating differently with the players. And I guess if you don't change, if you don't learn, you don't adapt, the game slips by you. He loves to sit and talk hockey. Oh my gosh, almost like no other coach were around.
Now Schwartz. Pass that back for Barrett Jackman. Subban steps in front of that pass. The puck still loose along the wall. LeBlanc to the line, but not out. Jackman tries to swat it back in. Tarasenko back for Jackman. And he had to leave the zone, and Shattenkirk now fires it right back in. Here come the Blues again. Andrei Markov on it. Chipped ahead by Bourque and a race for it now, but Eller has to go off as Jackman's back to pick it up. Montreal in Ottawa third. They take on the Senators as LeBlanc with a steal. And bumped there by Jackman. And Subban back on it. Jackman ahead to Stewart. Close change for St. Louis. Now Stewart with a drive. Price knocks it down. Rebound loose on the side of the goal. And Backes on it. David Backes. Blues captain looks down low for Steen. To Jay Bouwmeesters once again down low for St. Louis. Petrangelo couldn't keep it alive, and back come the Montreal Canadiens as Mikhail Bourneval across the line, shoots and Halak fights that off. Bourneval back on it. Off back to Georges, kind of half hit that puck down. Gianna Rembrandt throws it in front. Petrangelo took that away from Bourneval. And Backes drops it down to Bouwmeester. Jay Bouwmeester. Slides it down to the Montreal zone. Here's Stewart on it with Georges. They collide in the corner. And Georges kicks that ahead. Saboka steps up. Having down there with Galchenyuk. And Bouwmeester has it at center ice. 7 to go in the second period. A 1-1 tie. Derek Roy. Battles with Diaz, and Pacioretty taps out ahead for Gallagher. Oshie steps into him. Gallagher gets him a bit of a bump, and Oshie didn't like that. Now Gallagher just missed Bouwmeester. Describing Gallagher's style of play is difficult. He plays the game like a rubber ball almost.
He's a little Tasmanian devilish. I mean, it's perpetual motion, and it's desire and will that supersedes the size disadvantage he's got in almost every spot.
Pacioretty backhands it in. And Halak has to wait for it as Leopold goes back with Bourque on him. And Leopold got sandwiched between Eller and Bourque. Already Bourque back to the line for Subban. Puts that down in front. Eller with a bouncy butt, couldn't find it. Bourque gets a shot away, but a hand pass called against the Canadiens with 6:07 to go in the second.
we often hear about, are the players getting it? Do the players understand? Are they learning anything about these high hits? Watch Rennie Bourque here come around the back of the net. Bourque could have absolutely exploded on Leopold here. He keeps his shoulder down. He makes contact in the mid-body of Leopold. That's a textbook check by Rennie Bourque that perhaps a year ago is an elevated hit, a hit that explodes through the upper body and head of Leopold. It's a good job by Bourque. That's the way the hit's supposed to be applied.
Blues have won about 2/3 of the faceoffs in the game so far. That's a scramble draw poked up by the Canadiens as St. Pierre wanted. And now Eller's pass goes off the stick. Alex Steen out of play. We're back to Montreal in a moment. Michel Therrien's Montreal Canadiens with a blue-collar work ethic so far this season. How about last week against Dallas? Carey Price made 27 saves, but the guys in front of him blocked 29 shots. Shot blocking once again a hot topic of conversation in the NHL because something's got to be, right? In comes Pietrangelo with a chance off the leg of Murray and wide. And Lapierre with...
I just don't know how you can limit the number of shot blocks or how you can prevent the shot blocks.
Now Leopold plays it across to Polak with a long drive. That was tipped wide by Cracknell. Now Leopold with
good finish.
Slam there by Bouillon. They're jousting in behind the play. Meantime, back the other way comes Galchenyuk. A hand pass called on that play with 5:16 to go in the second.
The Canadiens got back in the game when Andrei Markov went down on a rush, carried the puck and drove the net. Leopold wants to get involved in the play, and he's got some room, but this is an excellent close by the 38-year-old Francois Bouillon as he finishes Leopold behind the net. By the time Leopold's back up in the play, the Canadiens are out of the zone.
Francis Bouillon has always had a knack for a guy his size at using his leverage to full effect.
He was a quicker skater before, but he's a good skater. He's got good balance. And you're right, some guys just have the knack for it. Francis Bouillon does. He's a strong hitter who comes at you load and is able to keep himself in the head. There was just a textbook body check on Leopold.
Taking part in the Movember festivities, George Parros will be the league leader, undoubtedly. Shaved it off on Halloween, and I think George will have that full stash going by American Thanksgiving. Now a steal by Bourneval, and shoots, scores! Mikhail Bourneval, and Montreal has the lead.
Against Colorado on the weekend, Bourneval had his first game as a Canadian this year without a shot on goal. Like most of the Canadians, had a quiet first period. He's had a couple here in the second. A turnover by Bouwmeester, too slow to go D to D to Pietrangelo. Gionta gets his stick on the puck to deflect it right here. And Bourneval walks into it and gets a free rein to pound this through the wickets of Yaroslav Halak. And the Canadiens rookie has given them a 2-1 lead.
So Bourque tied it up. He scored all 5 of his goals this year at home. Bourneval gives the lead. He scored all 4 of his goals this year at home. And Montreal, with 5 to go in the second period, has the lead. That's significant because this season, when Montreal has the lead after 2, the Canadiens are 8-0. When they don't, they're 0-7. They don't like to chase the game, Montreal.
It goes against everything the way that they play, where they want to be a counter-punch team. They want to really control the pace of the game at their style. But when you start chasing it, when you're behind, you have to open up. And Therrien just doesn't seem comfortable with that.
In comes Schwartz for Bergman with a drive. He puts that wide, and Pacioretty on it. Ahead for Gallagher, pokes it by Polak. No, a race for it. Brendan Gallagher, the backhand shot, put it just wide. And once again, Brendan Gallagher makes something out of what appeared to be nothing. And Leopold back for it. So St. Louis with a wide edge in play in the first 25 minutes of this game. And Bergman back with it. Hitchcock telling us this morning our leadership has been great. Now we need some fellowship. Which I'm pretty sure is not a word, but what he means is they need their support players to step up.
And if you think about the chances that have been created, Stewart's had a few of them. He got flip-flopped onto that top line with Steen, who has the goal, and Backus. But they haven't got much from an early couple of chances from Schwartz and Tarasenko. So while the Blues have had much of the play, they haven't created much offense. Here's a 2-on-1.
Murray stepped up on the hit. Now the 2-on-1 the other way. And the centering pass by Saboka off a skating wide.
And the Blues bench was up on their feet. They want the puck to be shot. Saboka tried to force a pass.
Now he tries the backhand shot, but Price swatted that away. Oshie back on it to the line to Pietrangelo. That long shot tipped right in front. Hit the stick of Bouillon. Dribbled down on the Price, and Carey Price able to hang on with 3:01 to go in the second period.
Price and Bouillon have an exhaling laugh at the cover Price makes. Look at Bouillon's in front of the net. The puck hits his stick as he's just in position to try and keep Derek Roy to the outside. Pietrangelo shot hits Bouillon's stick there, and Price has to scramble back to cover the bouncing puck.
It's Steen now for the face-off against Plekanec. That draw won cleanly by Plekanec. Warneval able to chip it out. And that play called offside at the St. Louis line.
Lucky for St. Louis that play was offside as Gionta created the turnover, much as he did here. Gionta gets in on the face-off loss, gets his stick on the pass from Bouwmeester. Bouwmeester's pass ends up going right on the tape of Bournival before Bournival puts away his fourth of the season.
And just like that, it's a Montreal lead. Canadians felt they probably deserved a better fate in Minnesota last Friday. 4-3 loss to the Wild. And now Gionta one-on-one with Leopold. Ryan Gionta drops it back for Plekanec. Trying to center it, and it's knocked away by Leopold. 2.5 to go in the second period. Steen with it, trying to throw that ahead for Backus. And now Backus kicks that out. And John Georges has to retreat as Shattenkirk fires it down to the Montreal zone. Shots are 18-15 in favor of St. Louis. Montreal still has a power play in this game, and the Canadians have more power play goals than any team in the league. Subban across to Markov. Long lead feed for Plekanec who chips it down. And now Galchenyuk comes in, and they're going to call too many men against the Canadians on the change at the St. Louis line.
Well, Galchenyuk jumped on the ice as Plekanec deflected the puck into the zone, but when Galchenyuk, who's at the top of the screen, will jump onto the ice, he barely touches the ice and jumps back on. Watch Galchenyuk at the bench. He's going to come onto the play. He jumps on, jumps off, but because Plekanec plays the puck,
right,
that touch of the ice by Galchenyuk makes 6 Canadians on the ice. And real tight call, the right call. And now the Canadians have an all-important kill, Gord, given their record you mentioned leading after 2. Basically, this power play will end the period if the Canadians can kill it off.
Saboka wins the face-off, gets stapled there by Eller. Now Roy knocked off stride, that allows Bournival to fire right down onto Halak. Shattenkirk ahead for Roy. Derek Roy over the free agent from Vancouver, rather, signed a 1-year deal with St. Louis. And Eller takes the puck away from him and fires it down the ice.
He had just a terrible stint in Vancouver where nothing happened for him. He was a free agent who probably thought that there was going to be something more than a one-year deal there for him, but he signs here in St. Louis and he's had a really quiet start to the year, trying to find his way on a really deep Blues team.
Now Backes bobbles the puck at the line. The Blues have to regroup as Alexander Steen has it. He got tied up by Gionta. And Gionta steps into Steen again. And a pass intercepted by Markov. Final minute of the period as Markov flips it back down to the Blues zone. And Markov thrown down by Backes. Didn't like that much.
And then Markov knocked Leopold over as Leopold was going to the bench.
Shattenkirk's long shot blocked by Diaz, but the play was offside at the Montreal line.
The Plekanec-Gionta duo has done a real nice job killing penalties. Here is Backes finishing off Markov in the middle of the ice. You see Plekanec gives him a little tap on the waist with his stick, and then Markov cross-checks Leopold going to the bench. The Blues captain, and a lot to do with the spine and the leadership of this team is David Backes.
He's already equaled his goal total from last season with 6 on the year.
This is a good start. Last year was a rotten year for Backes. He really had trouble.
Pacioretty stepped into Pietrangelo. Here's Georges on it for Diaz. 25 seconds to go in the period. Schwartz now trying to get this power play engaged, but Pacioretty kicks it away from him and slides it down to the St. Louis zone. Final seconds of the period. Tarasenko with it across the lines for St. Louis. That long shot up the leg of Diaz and wide. And Pacioretty fires it down. And the Montreal Canadiens will go to the dressing room with a 2-1 lead thanks to René Bourque and Mikhail Bournival. Coming up, our second intermission with James Duthie and the panel. Montreal, where the Canadiens have a 2-1 lead over St. Louis after 40 minutes of play on the NHL on TSN. Gord Miller back with Ray Ferraro. The game against Dallas last week was not unusual for the Canadiens in that they had more blocked shots than the goalie had saves. Same is true tonight.
Again, the Canadiens have been diligent about keeping the puck away from Carey Price, but this game it turned after a 1-0 deficit. Montreal kills off 3 straight power plays from the #1 rated power play in the National Hockey League in the first period. That gives them a chance to stay in the game. In the second period, this Price extraordinary glove save on Chris Stewart precedes René Bourque's goal by 90 seconds. The Price save gives the Canadiens a chance to stay in. Bourque ties it up. Later in the period, Gionta deflects the pass to Mikhail Bournival, and Bournival's goal has given the Canadiens a 2-0 lead, or a 2-1 lead after 2 periods. A position that they have not relinquished in this season, 8-0, leading after 2 periods.
Yet. Here comes Alexander Steen across the line, looking for Chris Stewart. Tied up by Georges. And Louis LeBlanc brings it ahead with Eller and Bourque. Eller in across the line, snaps that shot on goal, and Halak makes the stop. Lars Eller had that great start to the season, Ray, with 5 goals in his first 5 games, but hasn't scored since.
The goals, when it goes well, man, they come for you. For Lars Eller, 2 of his 5 goals were off the end boards, and he was able to pick up a rebound, deposit it in the net. A third one was that crazy goal in Vancouver,
right,
when he was on the bench, and Dan Hamhuis and Jason Garrison and Roberto Luongo conspired to kick it in their own net. The goal Luongo said he didn't give up, by the way. That's like self-denial, is it not? Because it was in the net. And so really Eller, I believe, is more suited not as a top 6 forward, not as a top 2 centerman, but as a number 3 centerman. I believe this guy can be as good as anybody in the number 3 hole.
Alex Galchenyuk for the faceoff took only 1 draw in the second period. He's 0 for 5 so far in the game, and that'll be scored as a faceoff loss as well, so he'll be 0 for 6. Pacioretty in across the line, a long shot off the stick of Shattenkirk and out of play. And that's going to be the struggle for Galchenyuk as a center.
Of the struggles, that's going to be one of them. One of the reasons he was on the wing is so that he doesn't have to defend so much as a centerman. That's why Eller was such a nice fit between Gallagher and Galchenyuk, because Eller can do that dirty work down low. He can be a stronger, sturdier body than Galchenyuk, who's just 20 years old. I mean, this is a real difficult team to play in the middle of the ice against when you haven't had that many reps at the NHL level.
Well, Tyler Seguin of the Dallas Stars having a good year, a good start to the season. He's down at 38% on draws for the Stars.
He was 1 in 14 the other night in the face-off circle. When you're that bad in the draw, every time there's a whistle and you're out there, you cringe. You're like, I got to go and take another draw. I'm probably going to lose that one too. It's not a very good feeling.
Now Reeves taps it back in, and Bouillon being watched by Max Lapierre. Roy centers, and Reeves fires that wide. Leopold steps up for St. Louis. And Bouillon looks ahead to St. Pierre. Again, Martin St. Pierre back in the NHL for the first time since January of 2010. Called up from Hamilton of the American Hockey League. David Desharnais, a healthy scratch for Montreal going back to last year. Including the playoffs, he's goalless in his last 21 games. So we'll see against Ottawa on Thursday if Desharnais gets back into the Montreal lineup, or if this is more of a trend for the Canadiens. You don't want to break up what could be tonight a winning lineup. Bourneval sends it back in front. Great chance there for Gionta. And Halak makes a point-blank save. In the meantime, Mikhail Bourneval is taking his place on this line with Plekanec and Gionta.
Perrion was talking last week about his fondness for the way that Bourneval plays the game. Intense, uses his skating ability to get in on the puck, and here he creates another chance with some tenacity and finds Gionta, who's had an effective night for the Canadiens. Bourneval controls the puck, spins away from Leopold, and finds Gionta inside of Berglund rather, inside close to Jaro Halak, and Halak makes a nice stop on the deflection.
Ryan White jousting with Alexander Steen.
So White replacing LeBlanc on this line here with Eller and Bourque as they go up against the Steen-Backus-Stewart line.
17:36 to go here in the third. Here's James Duthie with an update.
It's all downhill, James, when the net is empty at the other end. You can find the afterburners here.
That doesn't sound like an observation from afar. That sounds like something you'd know firsthand.
2 empty net goals in my career.
That's it?
Well, yeah, because I was never on the ice. You got to be on the ice to score an empty net goal.
I was going to say your team never had the lead, but that wouldn't be polite.
No, that wouldn't be correct either. I would think I was more of a threat to give up the goal to score the empty net goal.
You know who hates scoring empty net goals? Brett Hull.
He wasn't that interested in them. He said anybody could shoot it into the empty net. Of course, I think the year he had 86, he had just a handful of them, just a couple.
I think he had 4 that year, so he was mad about the 4. Hull back with the Blues in an advisory capacity. Al McInnes also working with St. Louis. And the GM Doug Armstrong, who's effected quite a turnaround of this franchise. A build, if you want to call it, a rebuild. A team that was weighted down by a lot of contracts that were restricting their ability to make many moves. And then some solid draftings. You mentioned 9 players in this lineup tonight are Blues picks, including 7 first-rounders. Markov across to Subban. PK Subban, nifty move, drops it down to Plekanec. Sends it back in front, and skipped away from Bourneval. And Subban moves up again to take it away from Schwartz. Now picked up by Gionta. Back for Markov. Long wrist shot, trying to find the stick of Bourneval, and Schwartz has it for St. Louis.
The Blues have jumbled their lines a little bit here as they look for a little more offense. They've kept Schwartz and Sobotka together, but they've moved Oshie onto that line. They've dropped Derek Roy onto the 4th line as we get a look at a little agility by PK Subban along the blue line against Jaden Schwartz. And Schwartz has become a a player that Ken Hitchcock relies upon, really trusts him early in his NHL career. He's shown to be a reliable player.
Oshie picks his way ahead. Fires around, Steve battles with Bouillon. Now Berglund's shot dribbles down to Price, and he'll hang on to it. Well, the NHL on TSN continues tomorrow with the Pittsburgh Penguins in New York to face off against the Rangers. Live coverage underway on TSN 2 at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Andrei Markov, by the way, on the ice for one of the Montreal goals tonight. He's now been on the ice for 29 goals for. Sidney Crosby second at 28. Now that's can be a deceptive stat, but when it keeps happening over and over again.
It's like the plus-minus stat. If everybody's in the same grouping, well then it really it doesn't, you know, there could be a few numbers that are a little askew. When somebody's so far ahead or so far behind, to me it tells a real story. That number there, 29 goals for already for Markov. Yes, he's on the ice more than a forward would be, but nonetheless, that's a big number.
Now Bouillon's back, and that'll be hybrid icing. Montreal didn't like that call as Gionta was at least even with him, but Markov, remarkable in a couple respects. This is one, most goals for so far this year, but how about over the last 5 years? With Markov in the lineup, Montreal has a winning percentage of .615. Without him, .498.
Unsigned after this year as well.
Only one Montreal defenseman inside, that's Georges. McKenna's a long shot, knocked away by Halak. Subban's a restricted free agent, Markov's unrestricted. Lots of decisions to be made by GM Marc Bergevin. That centering pass just missed LeBlanc. And Stewart brings it in for St. Louis. Drops it off for Alexander Steen. Battling there with Diaz. And Georges goes high off the glass and down the ice. Georges actually played goal in a Montreal scrimmage last year during the lockout. And said he couldn't believe how tiring it was to work Carey Price's equipment, and said after 45 minutes of playing goal that he was gassed.
Everything's a little different. You're not used to it, so Georges has found out you don't sit down very often when you're in goal. All of a sudden the legs start to burn for him.
And you do about 60 squats.
I can't imagine he was very efficient in goal.
No, he said his save percentage was about .500, which, you know, if you're batting .500 in the big leagues, that's good. But Carey Price said that his lowest moment came when he got hit in the arm and he wailed noticeably. Barros moving in, the puck goes into the St. Louis bench. Apparently part of the goalie code is you're not allowed to yelp when you get hit by the puck.
Price has done a nice job. He's got some nice help here from the Canadiens' defense, in particular as it's come over the last couple of periods. Look at Rafael Diaz at the top of your screen. He's going to come all the way across the ice. He knows he has support in the middle of the ice. Alex Steen has nowhere to go with the puck. That's an excellent read by Diaz as he comes underneath his partner to take the onrushing Steen's ice away.
Now Pacioretty with it, fires that high and wide. And the puck is once again up and out of play, and a face-off coming in the offensive zone as Gallagher is into it with Jordan Leopold. Gallagher started taking some face-offs in the second period for Montreal.
Took them in junior when he was with the Vancouver Giants. He's good on the draw because one of the tenets of face-offs are you got to get low on the draw. You've got to be strong there, and he's not very far from the ice to begin with, and he's a strong kid. He gets down low, as you see Galchenyuk lose another draw.
To Sobotka, the NHL leader. No one got lower than former Blue Bob Bassett, who would almost dig a hole in the ice to get lower than you. Markov with it. That long wrist shot floats wide.
Very few players are strong enough and quick enough to stay up real tall to win the draw. You've got to get into the battle, and you have to. And oftentimes it just becomes down to who wants it more.
In comes Oshie with a drive, and Price fights that off. Pacioretty trying to sweep that. Got tangled up with Schwartz, and that will go off on a chain. Pietrangelo walks in and fires. That shot drifts wide. Here's Gianta with it for Montreal. Gets his own pass back. Was tied up there by Oshie. Now Sobotka throws it back for Pietrangelo. To Polak. Now I think that Hitchcock, who talked to us this morning about his team's inconsistency, will point to this game as an example.
Lots of it early seemed like it pointed to a Blues dominating win, the type of game that Hitchcock was talking about, where they wear a team down and in the middle of the second period they strangled the life out of the other team, but then they gave it back, and the Canadians have played real well in this back half of the game.
Steen shot off the end board, stopped by Carey Price, and the NHL on TSN will step away and return to Montreal in a moment.
Dallas Stars last week with more blocked shots than shots on goal. Well, tonight through the game up until this point with 13 minutes left, the Canadians have allowed 20 shots on goal. They've blocked 26 shots. They're at it again. Make it really difficult to prevent what Ken Hitchcock calls the one and done syndrome.
Douglas Murray has 8 block shots. When Bob Gainey was the GM here in Montreal, he actually at a general manager's meeting proposed a rule change that would make it a penalty to leave your feet to block a shot.
I know a lot of forwards would be in favor of that.
Tarasenko centers it, and Subban knocked that away. In comes Rourke with it, shoots, and Halak makes the save. A late tap there from Ryan White, and Halak didn't appreciate that.
As equipment has gotten better, it's become somewhat easier to block a shot. I mean, I know the guys shoot the puck way harder than they used to as we get a look at that last shot stopped by Halak and the Ryan White tap to the blocker that draws a crowd. But without the gear being the way it is, guys, there's no way they're going to be in front of these shots. But now you feel somewhat more protected. Now they've got the shot blockers that they can wear on their feet. I still wouldn't want to do it, I'm going to be honest with you. They used to ask us to block shots. They demand it from the players now.
Now for Kanitz. Lost the puck in the corner. Pietrangelo up for Alexander Steen with TJ Oshie. And Steen comes driving in on Diaz. And Rafael Diaz takes that away from him. He has someone unheralded for Montreal as number 3 on the team in ice time behind only Markov and Subban.
Canadians got some good news as Alexei Yemelin started to skate and has the no-contact jersey off. Now it's just a matter of getting in shape. He adds such a dimension to their blue line.
Looks like a couple of weeks for him. On pace for late November, early December, barring no setbacks. Pietrangelo, long shot, Price to save through the screen of Steen. Kornevall collides with Oshie. That allows Gianta to pick up the loose puck. Now Oshie steps into him. Look to the line, but not out back. It just bowls over his man, Diaz. And then battles with Kornevall in the corner.
And Hitchcock went back to that number 1 line there for a shift with Oshie, Steen, and David Backes together.
Now Pietrangelo comes in as both teams are changing. Drops it back for the Treader. Shattenkirk on his shot. Price the save, rebound. And Stewart couldn't reach it. Now set back in front. Sobotka battling for it. And Carey Price once again shuts the door for Montreal. Gave up that early goal to Alexander Steen, but since then, Carey Price has been terrific. Shattenkirk around for Stewart. Looks ahead for Sobotka. In on Markov. Sobotka shoots, and Price the stop on him.
What an excellent sequence here from Carey Price as Pietrangelo finds Shattenkirk coming off the bench. This goes through the screen. Price makes the first stop, and the second rebound goes right to Chris Stewart. Bouillon turns to try and deflect it, but it's Carey Price's right skate, pad, and stick that deflect this aside. An excellent stop for the second time tonight on Chris Stewart.
And Eller back with it for Montreal. Fires that down to the corner. Rourke got it knocked away by Leopold. Berglund for Jaden Schwartz along with Vladimir Tarasenko. Tarasenko falls at the feet of Markov. And now back on it. Markov and Tarasenko. Battle in the corner for it. Knocked out by Bork. Icing waved off. Now a race for it as Halak got to come up and play it. Onto the stick of St. Pierre. Martin St. Pierre for Eller. And Eller fires that high and wide of the goal as Halak had just gotten back to his crease.
That's the second time tonight Halak has made the same play where he's come out of the net and tried to do too much with the puck. Instead of just, if you've got to come out in a bit of a defensive panic state, instead of trying to make a play, just shoot it out of the zone.
As you mentioned earlier, not much to choose between Halak and Price in terms of stats, but one area there is a big difference, puck handling.
Some goalies want to come out and help. The more they help, the worse it gets. Mike Richter was never a great puck handler, and the defenseman in New York used to tell him, just set the puck up for us. The more you play it, the more trouble we get into. Except Mike thought he was good at it, so he let to play it.
That's a problem.
This is a problem.
Arthur's Urbe thought he was good.
Oh,
he was like a guy who thought he could sing but couldn't.
Never thought of it that way.
Everyone else cringed. He went merrily humming along. Now Bourneval on it, spins away from Pietrangelo.
He's had an excellent second half of the game. His goal and a couple of real nice plays in the offensive zone.
Now Gianna puts it wide of the goal, and Backus looks across the ice for Alexander Steen. Oshie back out there with Steen and Backus. And Gianta kicks his way ahead for Bourneval. Montreal changing as Bourneval fires it in deep. We reach the midway point of the third period. 25